Alright, guys, as the only person that's going to be able to give Rekieta his dues, I'm gonna have to go ahead and present this information for you guys. So, if you guys are a fan of Aaron Imholte or anybody that sucked off Aaron Imholte, this is probably not the video for you. So I go for the truth and only the truth. So in this case, the truth is that, well, Aaron Imholte went to jail before Nick Rekieta for violating his order, I would presume. Now, people could be like, well, actually, Sen, technically, in its most technical basis, Nick Rekieta went to jail first. And that'd be like the epic thing that led to Rekieta's downfall or whatever, right? So, okay. But in this case, right, we've been hearing for several months now that Rekieta was going to go back to jail, that he was going to go to jail and then it was over. And that Aaron was squeaky clean, everybody, though they want to deny it, there's going to be that 2% of people that are going to be like, actually, us, random commenter number 57, we were actually not championing Aaron, by the way. It's like, yes, I'm going to take you at your word because that's what a smart person would do, definitely. But also, I think that in these cases, these campaigns, in this Isola fandom and stuff, we got to go ahead and look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that practically all of Kiwi Farms, as well as Josh Moon and a lot of Rekieta haters, they were going ahead and they were saying Rekieta was going to go and they were going to go to jail again because they're going to relapse or blah, blah, blah. There's, a lot of those smear campaigns around, which is, to be fair, if it gets you the money, it gets you the money, like going ahead and continuously punching down on Rekieta. It is what it is, get your money. Like, again, like I've said this before, this is an undeniable fact, too. Kino Casino pulls in a lot of money from Rekieta, just talking about Nick Rekieta and interpreting every one of his actions in a negative light. But, I don't feel like doing that. And I don't feel like the other people that continue to do that as well, whether it's for cloud validation or anything. So I'm just going to point it out as it is. At this point in time, Rekieta did not go back to jail like a lot of people were wishing for in Kiwi Farms or whatever else. I just go to Kiwi Farms. They're the ones that stalk Rekieta the most and archive his stuff for truth and justice or whatever. I don't know the reason for it. I mean, whatever the reason can be, I'm sure it's a morally righteous reason, guys. About as morally righteous as having everyone's public information in a space where you call them a piece of shit. That's morally righteous as well. But in this case, we have Rekieta, another win for the toe. Just, a nice little dig at Aaron Imholte. Again, let us not forget that Aaron Imholte is about as negligent of a parent as Nick Rekieta. And Aaron Imholte, whatever you want to call him, absolutely knew of all of the Rekieta wrongdoings. Now, I've said this in the past. A lot of people knew about the Rekieta wrongdoings, whether it was the law tubers that are now scalding Rekieta and spanking him, legal mindset, probably Sean, if we're being real here, people like that. Drexel, sure as hell knew about that, but he fucking ran away. Josh Moon definitely knew about all this behavior, all right? So again, they are realistically to blame, but think about the person that was actually in Rekieta's household, that was partaking in this degeneracy. Aaron Imholte. If nothing else, if you want to defend all the other people, and pretend they don't deserve any responsibility for this druggie's actions or whatever, right? You want to give them all the charitability and defenses in the world, even though that's not what it is. Use that delusion, sure. But you can't delude yourself into thinking Aaron Imholte is not to blame more than them, at least. Like, substantially speaking, this guy was in Rekieta's fucking jacuzzi, partaking in literally everything Rekieta did, saw everything Nick Rekieta did firsthand, by the way, not even in the, at least with the law tubers and the fucking yellow flashes of the world, and the Kiwi Farmers, you could be like, actually, we were just enamored by Rekieta's big cock, okay? We never actually technically wink wink saw him do this. Wink wink, what are we at his house? Wink wink. It's like, okay, fair enough, you fucking degenerate scumbag, weaselly fucks. But what about Aaron Imholte, the guy that was right there, front and center, if you will, cuckoldry pal, looking at everything going down. I dare anybody to find a contradiction in the statement I just made, a flaw in the statement I just made. You know, nobody can actually really do it. I always look forward to these, like the schizo paragraphs that make sense, like the farmers post schizo paragraphs sometimes, but in their credit, they actually sort of make sense a little bit. It's kind of funny. It's like that meme of the one guy on the white chalkboard, like rationalizing like mental gymnastics, but you know, it's better than the alternative where like in my previous Mudahar video, they were like, so you're mad? You're mad that he bought a It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, where is the rational thinking is just like, fuck, critical thinking abilities is just gone out the window. But we got a bunch of people commenting on all this, you know. Rekieta actually getting a positive reception for once. You know, a good over 200 likes on this. So, again, it is Patrick Melton, you know, undeniable predator at this point, right? But he provided this news here. Aaron is in jail. He would likely spend the night. His sentencing hearing has been delayed until October 2nd. The judge is not happy about his fuzzy violation. The plea deal is fucked and this will be renegotiated. This is not, in fact, over today. So then this person, here comes the trivializing and the downplaying of the whole thing, right? What's the point of one night in jail? Now, this is what I assume is going to be the defense for this. They're going to be like, oh, but who cares? But, like, who cares? It's just one night. Well, I mean, if you want to look at it like that, what's the point of one night in jail for Nick Rekieta, right? Didn't he spend, like, one night in jail and then, like, everybody on Kiwi Farms and everybody on LawTube, like, made a big deal about it, and they were like, you know, for the most part, I mean, to be fair, you know, Kiwi Farms immediately turned on Rekieta at that point. There was, like, moral justification to label Rekieta, you know, as everything horrible and, like, whatever. But, like, when it came to like the inner circle, right, of LawTube or people revolving Rekieta on a financial level, they were just like, well, they were kind of like sitting a little quiet and really care that much. It wasn't until like more and more and more, like Rekieta essentially, you know, just wouldn't shut the fuck up and kept doing it. Then Legal Mindset saw an opportunity to capitalize, so he leaked messages with Rekieta. And he went ahead and he looked like the good guy in this whole thing. Oh, rational legal mindset or whatever, right? So then we had people, you know, follow up and stuff. Like, you know, it was very much a case of like one night in jail was the difference between Rekieta still having an out and Rekieta just losing his career. But again, as I pointed out, the reason that it doesn't matter when it happens to an absolute nobody like Aaron Imholte, and when it happens to, like, let's be real, somebody that puts food on the tables of PPP and Andy Worski, like Nick Rekieta, well, you see the difference here. You know, it tends to be the fact that the bigger a celebrity is at the time, the more you're going to go and pile on and make even something that is just trivial in nature a bigger deal than it has to be. And that's just, again, I dare anybody to, you know, refute that point in general, right? Because again, you know, we've ran down everything. Like Aaron Imholte, as I've told you, is just a less popular Nick Rekieta. He's probably as the value of a Kiwi farmer, essentially, but he's a Kiwi farmer that decided to go into the crack den of Nick Rekieta and just let all this immoral, fucked up shit happen in front of his eyes and just come out and try to look like a Weasley good guy by the end of it. That's really what it is. You take every piece of evidence into account at this point, right? We've let enough time pass, and that's exactly what it is. Again, like, what are we gonna do here, pal? We gotta be real about this. Felt like this was always the outcome. All Aaron had to do was not talk about one topic. He was so angry at Rekieta, and he couldn't help himself. What's worse, this really has nothing to do with April either. This is all about Aaron's fragile ego. Well, that's why he got along with Nick Rekieta, I suppose. You know? Just when he was going to sign that new radio deal, too. Oh, fiddlestick. It's a mugshot of Aaron's less smiling it in the last one. Book him, Dano. Toss another quarter in the Mersh was right jar. I guess is this the real Mersh? Is this the guy that made Daddy Jim cry? By the way, that's another undeniable fact. That's what made Daddy Jim mad at me and accused me of doxing him or whatever there. It's fascinating story, really, how like if you get under somebody's skin enough, like they will literally do some dirty ass shit to you. It's fucked up, to be honest, like whatever, but yeah, especially when it comes from, your hero. So he's your hero, but he can't roll with the man. Like Daddy Jim will like talk about like hunting down minorities and stuff. And when I bring up, hey, you're kind of a loser for crying over Mersh, and then exposing your like medical documents to a bunch of strangers, which is like very high level parasocial behavior that you would make fun of. XD, LOL, Keck. And then Daddy Jim just gets super mad at me. I mean, like video for another day, but again, like it's so fucking hilarious. Oh, and then like what does he do? He proceeds to talk to Kirsch Purcell, the fat VTuber. That's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know, man. Like, nothing against Kirsch. I don't really know them personally. I don't know if they talk shit. I just know that they have sausage fingers because I've seen people post that around and stuff. And then I saw her lolicon take, which was funny enough, not a deal breaker to Daddy Jim, but like, Daddy Jim will try to shame you for lolly, but it's weird. It's like, again, these people hold no stances. Like these people are just fucking scumbags all around. That's why you need to send over here to call it out like it is. Again, nobody is really going to go ahead and tell you that Nick Rekieta got a W on this, because it's not the popular thing to do, right? You can't go, whoa buddy, off of giving this guy who's making you money and giving you clout by talking negatively about him. It's not going to get you anything. Like, it's not going to get you clout. It's not going to give you the money. But again, as the guy, the realest guy in the room, as my old moniker used to be, right? I got to point it out. I got to show it how it is. Rekieta got another W, it seems, like it's another rare Rekieta W. All right, so what is the point of just spending one night in jail? Have to research. I appreciate that the courts are taking these matters seriously. At least 3 plenty of bulls to... Gosh, I wish we had the footage of when sheriff deputies were creeping up on him. And the judge said, Mr. Imholte, I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Would appreciate an exclusive comment, Mr. Rekieta. So if there's a civil lawsuit to make Aaron pay for the trauma he caused your family, my prayers are with Kayla for all of this. Kayla is, our wife, Lady Rackets. Nick Rekieta's wife on paper. So, Nick Rekieta, again, you could... It kind of comes back to, like, I will give Rekieta his dues, unlike anybody else, where it's dude. But in general, like, again, it does not take away anything from Nick Rekieta being just an absolute fucking mess. Abhorrent human being in general, right? Like, I've done some messed up things. I've said some messed up things, and never really on the level of Rekieta. I think, like, once again, like, the worst factor about Nick is that, Kiwi for China. Yeah, again, this is what I was talking about. This thing over here is like, I want Kiwi Farms to rationalize why this is actually another win for the toe, and why Nick Rekieta is actually to blame for all our problems. Like, that's the thing, man. Like, that's really what it is. It's like, I get it. It's propaganda. In fact, a couple Kiwis told me about how to do this propaganda back during the Weeb Wars days. If you guys can sniff them out, their aliases, I think was Held, Jinx, and I know their alias. Okay, these are their Discord aliases: Held, Jinx, and Gravity. I think Gravity and Jinx should still be around, but I know that their fucking Discord bullshit or their Kiwi Farms tags rather were different. I think they've been like, some of them doxed the shit out of Tug and his kids, so you can find them on I believe the Tug thing. You should be able to find them there. But these people taught me the art of smearing and propaganda essentially from an early age. To their credit, I would hope they didn't know they were talking to a minor or something, because that'd be weird. But like, yeah, I heard about this. I know what they do. I know the tactics and the ins and outs, if you will. It's very sneaky, very reminiscent of Weasley lawyers and politicians, which again, like, comes back to my theory on why they and Rekieta got along so well initially. What they say, birds of a feather flock together and all that good stuff. But again, that's just what it is. So Nick Rekieta, it is funny to note though that throughout this entire thing, everybody has been wishing for Rekieta to go to jail again, right? And this time, like, stay there. But like when it comes to the Aaron Imholte thing, right? Like Aaron, going ahead and going to jail right now. I see people like that are usually very outspoken to be like, well, Nick Rekieta sniffed the wrong way or his nose got bigger or something. Like, they're not really pressing Aaron. They don't really care that much. They're not really saying anything about. They're kind of like willingly staying quiet about the Aaron thing because it's probably not in their best interest to make fun of Aaron or anything of that sort. But how does it feel knowing your friend Aaron is in jail before Nick must sting for the Kiwis? YouTube big boy at LawTube Shaw. There you go. Thoughts on the people on Karen Farms trying to defend convicted revenge prawn Aaron Imholte's crimes. And that's another thing. Okay, so this is the thing. This is what rolling in the mud tactics are, right? Because again, unless, like, realistically, and Kiwi farmers would do this to Rekieta too. Like, I get it. Like, I know all the ins and the outs, bro. I am legit. Like, when I tell you I'm just a Kiwi farmer with a microphone, I'm not shitting you. Okay, I know every tip and trick. I know what you do. I get it. I know. The only thing I don't do is archive the shit out of fucking speds like you guys, because I don't have enough time to do so. That's why you guys are there. But, like, realistically, I'm just a Kiwi with a fucking microphone, so I get it. And this statement here, it really puts Kiwi Farms on the defensive, really, because what are you going to do? You're going to side with Aaron? You have to shit on Aaron at this point. Like, you're morally grasping for straws on anything Rekieta related, right? Like, when Rekieta told that one, bitch that posted her, like, face fucked up on X for sympathy points and stuff, right? Everybody was like, Rekieta's such a bile human being for attacking her while she's down. It's like, bro, you guys make fun of people for this shit all the time. Like, let's not pretend like you haven't. Like, again, when they're overly exaggerated and they're like, Nick has gone too far, it's like, Nick has always gone this far. He's been a piece of shit. Again, for years, you just never had an issue with it until now. Again, I don't like the use of morality like this. It's very tipster reminiscent. If anybody remembers tipster, it's very tipster reminiscent, where it's like, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of that pretend morality in order to make myself look credible. It's really disgusting behavior, very slimy, and I don't really like it, to be honest. So I'm going to call it out whenever people try to do that. All right. So although it's a far cry from final justice and healing all the damages done, I hope Kayla, which is our wife, Lady Rackets, feels some peace tonight while she's sleeping in her own bed, knowing that the monster is in a cage she deserves. Even for that's even like a little off, right? Like again, for the low IQs, I don't want anybody to have low IQs when they watch this. But again, like statements like this, it's like, okay, so Aaron was an idiot that essentially didn't adhere by some rules because he's a fucking idiot again, right? And he is kind of the equivalent of Nick Rekieta, just not popular, because again, Aaron was aware of all the conditions in the crack den, and it was really not that much of a deal breaker for him. Apparently, he just kind of continued on or whatever, right? And then Aaron proceeded to try to make himself look like the good guy, which I can't believe anybody ever really fell for, but whatever, it is what I get it, getting caught up in the moment, right? Even I got caught up in the moment, because this was literally like, you got to understand, at least for me, I've been knowing this guy was a piece of shit for years. I was told that I was crazy for this, so I felt eternal vindication at that point. I also felt some type of way, because it's like, well, now you're saying all the things that I was saying, in 2019, essentially. You're taking all my talking points from a minor, but 2017 would be when this kind of started rifting a little bit. So then but I think I was more outspoken about it in 2019. So you're taking a 19-year-old's talking points, as a bunch of lawyers and grown men, and you're now applying it because Nick Rekieta is a sinking ship, So I did feel some type of way, enough so that I would even say that I overlooked a lot of Aaron things and let it go, like fly over my head. But when you come back to reality and you grasp the situation and you actually look at this, and it's like Aaron was just as bad as Rekieta. I like Really, that is the thing, right? Think of it this way: me, who has more of a reason to hate this baboon or whatever, for all the shit he did, because he piled onto the smearing too. It wasn't just Spectre, it wasn't just Kiwi Farms, it wasn't just Rekieta's fan base. It was this piece of shit too. He was going at me as well. He was trying to discredit me to the moon. They try to discredit me because I know too much. That's just what it is, right? Only somebody that knows too much could be this ahead of the game, right? And now have his talking points that were used when he was 19 used in Nick Rekieta at current day, and everybody treating it like, oh my god, what a revelation. No, this is not a revelation. This is pure, critical thinking and able to analyze a person's behavioral patterns. It's not that fucking difficult. The real reason is, again, there's a financial and a clout incentive for all parties that were disregarding this idiot's behavior, whether it was Josh Moon, whether it was Lawtube, whether it was Kiwi Farms. I think that, the thing is, I'll point it out, but overall, since I'm not willing to hate Nick Rekieta, and even now I don't really, if there's ever a dislike in Nick, it kind of comes and goes, right? It's like, what a piece of shit is there, but then it leaves or whatever. I'm not eternally vengeful right now. Even with the Lawtubers, the Kiwi Farmers, and even Josh Moon, right? I don't really, despite you guys obviously being the way you are and being as weaselly as him, right? I'll point it out. Do I personally hate you guys like that? No, I know why you guys did it. I understand. I think when you come to the level of full understanding of why people do what they do, you don't have to agree with it, but you kind of understand it and stuff. But these are the facts of the matter. Seriously, there's no other way. It was all around it was written on the wall, so to speak, right? And again, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Another Rekieta W, unfortunately, another Rekieta W. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know, very unpopular to call this a Rekieta W, to even mention Rekieta and W in the same sentence. But again, I look forward to everybody heavily rationalizing why, in the end, at the ending of the day, as a Rebarded Bear once said, why this is actually a W for Aaron and this is an L for Nick Rekieta. Because the last time I saw somebody rationalize a W for Nick Rekieta, it was like, well, when you think about it, Nick Rekieta admitted to something he didn't need to for something. It's like, LOL? Okay, that's it. I've had enough. I'll see you in the next upload. Have a good rest of your day. Remember, don't worry about it.